You're listening to the Things of That Nature podcast. Coming to you from a city that never sleeps is me, your host, Rockshana. I invite you to join me in truly honest, passionate, and fun talks that motivate, invigorate, and maybe inspire. Even though we're no longer in the mile high, the sky is still the limit. Everything and anything goes. So let's start talking about things of that nature. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Things of That Nature podcast. I'm your host, Rockshana, and today I have someone who has a story. You know, I always make friends that have stories. It's kind of my theme of life. Or maybe I'm just nosy. I don't know. One of the two, I guess. So today we have Marci Cox, and I think you guys are really going to like it. I like her story, and it intrigued me. So hopefully it intrigues you guys too. Hi, Marci. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on and to share a part of yourself with us.
Yeah. So, you want me to just jump right in and tell you all about me?
Oh, go for it.
All right. So I am a 2-year breast cancer survivor. And so I was diagnosed when I was 40. And I've got 2 small kids. At the time, they were 1 and 5. And I ended up being, we call it ERPR positive. So it's hormone related. And throughout this whole journey, I remained positive the entire time. And I'm 2 years, we call it NED. So I'm no evidence of disease. But through the process, I ended up writing a children's story from it. So, and then from there, I also wrote some more journals having to do with breast cancer. And that's now my passion, is to help women who've been newly diagnosed to go through this whole process, because it really is. It's a journey. It's a never ending journey, because even though I'm clear and I'm cancer free, it's still an ongoing process. And that's what I want to get out to women, and I want to help them with it as well. So the book I wrote, it's called Mommy Has a Boo Boo, Explaining Breast Cancer to Children. And the whole reason I came up with it is one, I have small kids, but I ended up doing a double mastectomy without reconstruction. So I remained flat. And while I was searching to tell my oldest at the time and explain to her what mommy was going to go through, I couldn't find a whole lot of books that touch based about staying flat. Sure, there's books about, mommy's going to lose her hair, mommy's going to do other things, go through the sprouts of cancer, radiation, having the double mastectomy. But really, a lot of women get reconstruction done. And so my book talks about this, still goes through the whole journey. But in the end, it shows that even though mommy looks different, she's still the same. She's still the same mommy. And that's what I want to get out to women, is that even though we're going through this journey, it's like a bump in the road. Mommy's going to get through it. Hopefully mommy's going to get through it. And even though things have changed, she's still there. She's still there. She's still your mommy. And so, that's what that book is about. On a takeoff of that, I did Mommy Has a Boo Boo, Now What? And that's a journal discussion. And it's kind of like a coloring book as well, but it's a great discussion, because kids are so intuitive that they've got so many questions. They want to know everything. And with my daughters, I made it fun for them. I ended up getting matching wigs for my oldest. So we both had rainbow wigs. Because I knew I was afraid she was going to be scared of me when I lost all of my hair. So I wanted to incorporate whatever I could. And so in this journal book question, there's questions like, hey, who's going to take me to my activities, my swim class, my gymnastics class, and of course they've got the last question, which every kid's going to ask, are you going to die? And so it's just a good discussion, and explain to them, hey, here's what mommy is going to go through. Let's do this together. So that's my other journal. The other one is called the Breast Cancer GPS. It's a guided journal to navigate your way through breast cancer. And so for women that have been newly diagnosed, it's a great journal. It's because when I first was diagnosed, I went in and I had a girlfriend who had also gone through breast cancer, and she said, Marci, you need to go in and your doctors are going to ask you your whole medical history. So write it all down and just give them copies of everything. So that's what I did. I put that in my journal. So you've got to put, there's space to put, all the vitamins, supplements that you're taking. There's also places to put who else have had cancer in your family, what your blood type is, all of your medical history. But then there's questions to ask your doctors, because all of a sudden we're kind of in shock. Well, we are in shock once we find out we've been diagnosed. But we really want to know, what do we ask our doctors? What do we ask our oncologist, our radiologist, our plastic surgeon, our breast surgeon? Do I want to have a lumpectomy? Do I want to have a mastectomy? Do I want to have reconstruction? I mean, there's so many questions. So I put that in that journal as well. And then there's a space to ask your own questions, because of course I'm not going to hit everything. And then going through there's also tips and tricks to go through your treatments. So when you have your surgery, if you're going to stay overnight, what might you need? What do you need at home? Like for me, for example, I slept in a recliner for about a month. And so that was a great thing. If you don't have a recliner, prop up pillows. So it just kind of gives you some tips and tricks. Going through chemotherapy, the big thing for me after my first weekend of chemotherapy, I was so sick that I realized I needed to get those IV fluids. And so I've been telling everybody that was a game changer for me, was to get IV fluids. So I'd go in for chemo on a Friday, and then I'd get fluids that same day. And then I'd go back in on Monday and get more fluids, because you want to be so hydrated. And I tell you that totally was a game changer, because I worked the entire time through chemo and radiation. And so I'm really excited about those books, and I'm excited to share that with everybody. Because like I said, I want to help so many people out there.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, when you say you worked, did you mean like you worked through a process, or like you worked an actual job?
So I'm a realtor full-time, turned author. I still do real estate. I've been doing it for 20 years. So I was still out showing clients homes. I had my mask on way before COVID. So I was still showing houses, just doing everything behind the scenes, because I'm also a property manager. So I was dealing with all of my tenants and collecting rents. So I was still doing all of it. And there was days, of course, that my body told me, you need to rest, you need to take naps. And I did that. I still had to listen to my body, especially on the days that I went in for chemo on Friday. I mean, obviously I didn't work and I took the weekend off. But I also had some coworkers help me out as well if needed. But yeah, I mean, surprisingly, I still I'm with a company called West USA here in Phoenix, and they honor you guys. They give us certificates every year, like multi-million-dollar producer or $1 million producer. And I was shocked. I think I made the $1 million producer still, even though I cut back on my work. I still did it. And I'm very appreciative of all my clients that still worked with me and was very patient, while I was going through treatments. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a miracle that I was still able to do everything. I know a lot of women are not as lucky as I was, and because of course it hits everybody differently. And I know some women that have had to go to the hospital because they just have a reaction to the medication or just something, or a reaction from their reconstruction. And so I knock on wood, I was very lucky I didn't get as sick as I've heard other women have. But I'm very blessed where I am today. I'm still working, and now I'm working. I'm working a few jobs now. I'm still doing my real estate, but now I've turned to become an author, and so I'm busy, marketing and doing all of that as well. And still I'm writing more books. So it's been fun. It's been a fun journey, and it's something because when someone goes through cancer, you kind of look at things differently and you appreciate a lot more. I've got my family, and before that I'm still a workaholic, but I was very, very much, I never really took time off before. So now we're planning more trips because I need to be there, I mean, I'm alive. And so I'm very thankful for that. And I want to still go out and do things. And so I've got to take time out for myself and for my family. And so these are things that I'm learning from everything.
That's amazing. Like you said, you hear stories of people just not being able to work, and the fact that you were able to do that, and something kind of physically demanding, you have to walk around the house and drive there. That's amazing.
It's kind of, and it's funny because my husband said to me, even before my cancer diagnosis, he goes, "What are you passionate about?" Because I've been doing real estate for, like I said, 20 years. And there's days, I get burnt out. I mean, I still love what I do, but I mean, that's a long time in one job. And he goes, "What are you passionate about?" And I said, "You know what? I don't know." Because he goes, if you wanted to do another job, what would you do? And I kept thinking to myself, I have no idea what I would do. And so then I got cancer, and my passion now, I mean, I found it because I want to help women. I want to help other people go through it. And I've been very involved. We've got a couple local organizations out here. One is called Cancer Support Community Arizona, and they provide free programming to anyone going through any type of cancer. And right now it's all been done virtually. And so I've done support groups. They do like Reiki and yoga. They've got classes. My family and I do bingo once a month, and we love it because my oldest seems to keep winning every week, every time. She's one of the winners, so she really enjoys that. But then another organization I'm involved with is called My Hope Bag. And they're an organization where they provide a little bit of hope to women. And so you can apply, and they will either hand deliver you a bag full of goodies. I mean, there's a blanket in there, there's resources, makeup, because of course, we lose our eyelashes and eyebrows. And so, a lot of women don't want to go out looking like they don't have anything. So, we give them some makeup and socks, because in chemo it gets cold. I remember I was wearing warm fuzzy socks, and I would take a warm blanket with me. And so it's just, Sarah is the founder of My Hope Bag, and she had gone through cancer herself, and she realized, she wanted to give a little hope to women. And so that's what came out of it. And so I've been involved with both of these organizations. And it's been great. It's been great to, talk to these women, and because I get it. I completely understand what they're going through, because I've been there and I've done it. And so it's nice to give back. And that's something that we call it thriving after cancer. And so that's what I've done. I've thrived and found my new passion.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you're able to see a positivity out of it, and be able to think about it in a way of, I'm going to help other women. I'm going to help them and thrive and get through it their process, because I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you were diagnosed, what did that feel like? You said you had some shock. What else was kind of going through your mind, if you remember?
Yeah. So breast cancer does not run in my family. And so I had, and the way that I found it, I actually was doing a self-exam in the shower. And I hardly ever do those. And so I tell women, you've got to do your self-exams. And I was in the shower with my oldest, and I said to myself, I'm just going to feel around. And I felt something on my left side. And I said to my husband, you need to feel this. And at first I thought it's because I started working out more, because, I had the baby. And so I started to work out again because I wanted to lose that baby fat. And I said, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I just pulled a muscle because I was doing a lot of arm exercises. So